All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video. Today, we have another Houston Rockets video. We are going to talk about Chris Clemons. Unfortunately, had a devastating injury tonight. But unfortunate as it is, we still, you can't cry over spilled milk. You got to make the moves, and you got to make them fast. Because he was our backup point guard, and he shouldn't have been our backup point guard probably for the whole season. So it even more brings into effect maybe a Derrick Rose trade, maybe an Isaiah Thomas signing. Anyways, though, if you do enjoy this video and you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'm like 6 or 7 subs away from 600. I'm trying to hit 1,000 before the new year. So if you're new here and you like the video, go ahead and subscribe. But let's just get right into today's video. So Chris Clemons, I love him. It's kind of funny. Chris Clemons and I we look very different, but he's 5'9", I'm 5'9", he's 150, I'm 150. Unfortunately, I never really thought that he could be our permanent backup point guard at the moment for the next season. Now, seasons to come, most likely he could develop, but defensively, he's more of a liability, if anything. So I think that it really leaves us two opportunities here. I know Swaggy and a lot of people on my stream tonight were very big on the Isaiah Thomas signing. Defensively, we looked relatively good tonight, so I was not a fan of the Isaiah Thomas signing because I thought he would make our defense just significantly worse. But when you think about it, Clemons was bad defensively as well, and it looks like our bench can hold their own defensively now that our starters, James Harden and PJ Tucker, and Christian Wood's not even in yet. So personally, I think that it's time to trade for Derrick Rose. Brings a lethal player off the bench. Now, how could we get Derrick Rose? You probably have to do either, I would say most likely Eric Gordon in a first or Daniel House in a first. Because you got to remember Detroit Pistons I would definitely consider them rebuilding. They're kind of weird because they have a bunch of young possible talent. But then on the other hand, they've got a bunch of old heads like Blake Griffin and Derrick Rose. So I think Derrick Rose is definitely somebody we should eye. Isaiah Thomas, I'm sure you could get him for really, really cheap. So that might be something to do before we were to trade for Derrick Rose. But I think a trade for Derrick Rose is much better than a sign of Isaiah Thomas. I know it's Derrick Rose's last year on his contract, but we want to get rid of Eric Gordon anyways, so I don't see why we wouldn't trade Eric Gordon and a first-round draft pick for Derrick Rose. Most likely because they want Eric Gordon to raise his value up and trade for Buddy Hield. So that's why the Isaiah Thomas signing might be the better choice. Now, I'm not the Houston Rockets organization. All I know is that we need a backup point guard. We need a backup point guard before the season starts. Because Chris Clemons, as I keep mentioning, as much as I love him, he's just not that guy. Jerry Grant, you guys know I'm a Bulls guy, so Jerry Grant, I'm not very sold on Jerry Grant either. He didn't have a horrible night tonight. He played 10 minutes, 7 points, 2 assists, 2 rebounds, shot 100% from the field, 1 of 1 from 3. So he had a very efficient night. I could be totally wrong about Jerry Grant. That's another reason why the Isaiah Thomas signing might be the better option. This way you can kind of go through the preseason, see how Isaiah Thomas plays, see if he is a defensive liability, if his offensive production can kind of counteract it. And that's honestly might be our best case. Jerry Grant, I give him a lot of shit, but because I think Eric Gordon is so valuable for getting a player like Buddy Hield or Will Barton or Otto or Victor Oladipo, I just think this might be the best case is to sign Isaiah Thomas. Probably even get him for a veteran's minimum. I would imagine either way, Isaiah Thomas is not going to be expecting a lot of money. Now, I also think that they're probably going to drop a player with this injury to Chris Clemons. Right now, if you had to ask me, just because he did not play tonight, I would have to say it's looking like Gerald Green. I don't have too much of an issue with that. I love Gerald Green, but as far as our team goes, you've got a lot of young talent down there. particularly, I mean, we just talked about Jaren Grant, but David Nwaba looks great this preseason. Bruno looks good this preseason. Jayshawn Tate looks great this preseason. And Ben McLemore has had 2 back-to-back good nights. So as far as Gerald Green's spot in this roster goes, I would have to imagine he would be the guy who we would drop. Just based off David Nwaba has been playing very, very, very good in the preseason for us, showing a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and also he's a huge, huge defensive help. So I don't think it would be David Nwaba. I think it'd be Gerald Green. That's kind of what I would expect. But honestly, I'm probably just as confused as you guys are. I don't know what the Rockets are going to do. I don't think that they stand pat. I would think that honestly they would make a rather bigger trade rather than a smaller signing. Then again, I don't really know the situation with James Harden and the Houston Rockets. Like I said, they could be talking behind the scenes saying, like, if you can just show a happy face and help out our younger guys before we can trade you and get your value up, that would be great. So it's a very tricky situation. All I know is that we really should make a move for a backup point guard. Derrick Rose, it might be too soon to make a trade for him. Derrick Rose might be better going towards the trade deadline once the Detroit Pistons have fully realized, like, hey, yeah, we suck once again, and we have all these old dudes on our team for no reason. We haven't really fully committed to a rebuild because we have all these veterans, but that's when I would think a Derrick Rose trade would go down. So realistically, maybe they sign Isaiah Thomas, but I would think that the next preseason game you guys watch, I would have to assume it would be Jaren Grant starting not starting, but as our backup point guard. Let me know what you guys think. It's really unfortunate just because he's a good bench piece, but it kind of opened our eyes to, we needed a backup point guard. Weren't sure if Chris Clemens could do it, but now you really have no options. So I think a bench point guard is definitely a move we need to make. I'm sure a lot of people will agree. But let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys later.